of us, how many girls in the crowd? So, sir, you've written so many. I think more than 50% are female aspirants or female lawyers here. So you've written a chapter on feminist lawyering and feminist judging. We live, and to borrow from Amir Khan, हमारी छोरियाँ छोरों से कम नहीं. But you've written how when a law treats male and female equally, it may not actually bring that equality. Could you shed some light on that part?
Well, for one thing, I must tell you that the torchbearer of much of my work on gender is sitting right in the first row here. You have General Kanetkar, who was a very distinguished member of the Indian Army, and now you have so many. And you have so many other women who have really shone in the armed forces across the spectrum. Just the other day, and I don't want to make this as a doctrinal answer, but more of an anecdotal answer. I was visiting the NDA Khadakwasla, and after we got off the stage, I was told by the commandant that so many of these young women here in the audience are now going to become permanent members of our Army, Navy and Air Force, thanks to the judgment of the Supreme Court. But one thing which he told me was that the girls, the young women cadets who are undergoing training, do exactly the same training as the male cadets. And he says if you ask a male cadet to do 60 push-ups, the girls are ready to do even 75. So they're doing exactly the same training. The women are no less than the men. But answering your question, laws which are facially neutral, that they apply equally to men and to women, may actually be discriminatory. Now I'll give you an example how. The Supreme Court, it's my judgment, we directed that we must grant permanent commission to women in the armed forces so that they wouldn't be boarded out after completing their short service commissions of 10 years or 14 years. Now, when the Supreme Court directed the grant of permanent commission to the women, what did the government do? They asked these women to meet the same standards for permanent commission as their male counterparts. Now, this may seem to be equality, right? Because how can a woman say that I'll not meet the same standards as a male counterpart? But the devil is always in the fine print. What happened was that the women were involved in a long battle, spending almost 15 years in a port. So by the time that they were being considered for permanent commission, they were all in their mid-40s to late 40s, almost in their 50s. And they were being asked to meet the standards of their male counterparts in their late 20s when the males were given permanent commission. Now, how do you expect a woman who's gone through the entire process of the cycle of life, childbearing, menopause, to actually meet the same standard as a man in the 20s? If she was 20, she would have met the same standard. So we again told the government, you are wrong. Because you can't expect women who are being asked to apply for permanent commission for the first time in their late 40s or early 50s to meet the standards which their male counterparts had to fulfill when they were in their 20s. So that shows you that facially, what we call in the law as facially neutral criteria, may actually operate to discriminate against certain parts of the society. So we have to be very careful. Discrimination can be very direct, but discrimination can be indirect as well. I'll give you another example how